Yes, sir.
Call the meeting to order. Regular City Council meeting for the City of American Canyon for September 17, 2024. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Miriam Abadamos is excused. Councilmember Mark Joseph.
Here.
Councilmember Pierre Washington.
Here.
Vice Mayor David Oro.
Here.
Mayor Leon Garcia.
Here. We'll move on now to report on closed session, confirmation of reportable action. Mr. Ross?
Mr. Mayor, council members, members of the public, the council convened an open session at 4:07 p.m. to address the three categories of matters that were agendized for closed session consideration. After determining there were no public comments on those matters as agendized, the council formally adjourned to closed session to address them. Closed session concluded at 6:27 p.m. Our office will prepare a written report upon return from closed session consistent with the provisions of Government Code Section 64957.1b. That would conclude the report upon return from closed session, unless there are questions.
Any questions from council members?
No, sir.
Seeing none, hearing none. Thank you, Mr. Ross. We'll move on with our agenda this evening. We're on to proclamations and presentations. First this evening, we have a city proclamation regarding Suicide Prevention Month. People here to receive it, please come to the podium. Thank you for being here this evening. It's very important work you do. I've worked in mental health in my professional career for many years. City of American Canyon Proclamation, Suicide Prevention Month, September 2024. Whereas the Napa County Suicide Prevention Council, the NCSPC, a public-private collaborative of people and organizations who are dedicated to reducing the stigma surrounding suicide, supporting those who have lost loved ones to suicide, identifying and advocating for resources and promoting safe, connected, and resilient community dedicated to reducing the risk of suicide. Whereas in the last 7 years, NCSPC has worked tirelessly to reach their vision of a suicide-free community through education, training, stigma reduction, a linkage to services, and provision of resources to combat suicide. And whereas from 2020 to 2022, the suicide rate in California was 10.7 deaths per 100,000 population. And Napa County's was 11.9 deaths per 100,000 population, placing Napa County higher than the state average. And whereas Napa County in calendar year 2023, residents between the ages of 18 and 35 had the highest rate suicide. The most common mechanism for suicide was by firearms, 40%, and hanging, 40%. And whereas the calendar year 2023, 15 individuals completed suicide in Napa County. And whereas in fiscal year 23-24, the NCSPC trained 768 community members in the Question, Pursuit, Refer, QPR model of suicide prevention to help prevent suicides. And whereas in January 24, the NCSPC published a 3-year strategic plan for suicide prevention, which reflects the priorities, accomplishments, and needs for suicide prevention in our county and outlines a comprehensive approach to suicide prevention. And whereas in partnership with Napa County Health and Human Services, the NCSPC has hosted their first annual Suicide Prevention Conference on September 18th, Hope Beyond Darkness, unity in suicide, for suicide prevention. And whereas every county resident can be an ally by knowing the signs of suicide, finding words to communicate with someone they feel concerned about, and reaching out to local resources for help. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Leon Garcia, on behalf of the City of American Canyon, do hereby proclaim the month of September 2024 as Suicide Prevention Month in American Canyon. Won't you receive this, please, first? And then we'll hear some comments.
Thank you very
And
much.
thank you what you do.
Thank you.
Really appreciate
I
it.
have flyers for tomorrow's conference if anybody has free
Okay.
time.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Can we say a few words?
Yes, please.
Thank you, Mayor Garcia and council members for your support and importance in acknowledging Suicide Prevention Month. My name is Arturo Garcia. I'm a bilingual prevention specialist at Memphis, a member of Napa County Suicide Prevention Council. My role is to provide QPR training, suicide prevention training within the community. Suicide affects people of every age, race, ethnicity, and gender. Race and gender. Some of these communities have higher rates of suicide, including Native Americans, veterans, and LGBTQ youth. Over the past year, Napa County Suicide Prevention Council has continued our commitment to breaking stigma, offer support, and train our community members how to take care of those who are struggling with suicide thoughts and suicide loss. With the support of Napa County and Mental Health Services Act funding, we publish and implement a 3-year strategy plan for suicide prevention. We are hosting our first suicide prevention conference, Hope Beyond Darkness, Unity for Suicide Prevention, which takes place tomorrow, September 18th at Napa Valley College. The convention will include a powerful keynote speaker, Candace Washington, a licensed clinical social worker, mother, Arthur, veteran, and suicide survivor. We also have 6 breakout sessions that relate to the work we committed in our strategy plan. I hope to be able to join us. Your acknowledge and recognition of suicide awareness is truly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Want to get a photo? We can do a photo. Okay.
Yeah, oh yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Next, we have a proclamation for National Recovery Month. Sir, please. If you'd introduce yourself, please.
Sure. My name is Nathan Hobbs.
You can pull one of those mics up a little bit higher there.
One right here?
Yeah.
Okay. My name is Nathan Hobbs. I am the County Alcohol and Drug Program Administrator with Napa County Behavioral Health.
Oh, thank you. Well, good to have you here, sir.
Thank you.
Well, it's my pleasure to read and give you this proclamation. City of American Canyon Proclamation. September 2024 Recovery Month in American Canyon. Whereas since 1989, in the United States of America, the month of September has been recognized as National Recovery Month, setting aside a designated time to promote the power of recovery for all people who have struggled with or are currently facing an addiction or mental health issue. And whereas there are millions of Americans whose lives have been transformed through recovery, who often go unrecognized, National Recovery Month intentionally celebrates the success and strengths and courage that it takes to live in recovery and highlights that recovery is possible. And whereas National Recovery Month brings to light the ongoing need to increase awareness and foster a greater understanding about mental and substance use disorders. And this observance reinforces the positive message that behavioral health has as part of our overall health. And whereas as part of the Recovery Month, National Addiction Professional Day will be celebrated on September 20 to honor the dedication of professionals who make recovery in all its forms possible. The evidence-based treatment and recovery services they deliver improves the health and well-being of Napa County's residents struggling with addiction. And whereas the City of American Canyon and Napa County continues to provide a safe and welcoming place for people to connect with treatment providers, with love and support from families, friends, and allies, who together build a strong, proud recovery community. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Leon Garcia, on behalf of the American Canyon City Council, do hereby proclaim September 2024 as National Recovery Month in the City of American Canyon. And in doing so, we encourage community members to contribute to our collective understanding that behavioral health is essential to all overall health. Prevention works, treatment is effective, and people can and do recover. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for what you do. Thank you. If you'd like to make any comment.
Well, Mayor Garcia and honorable council members of American Canyon, thank you for this proclamation. As I said before, my name is Nathan Hobbs. I am the Assistant Deputy Director at Napa County Behavioral Health and also the County Alcohol and Drug Program Administrator. A recent survey conducted by SAMHSA found that about 17% of all people over the age of 12 in the United States of America have a substance use disorder. That's nearly 46 million Americans. But just under 15% of these folks actually received substance use treatment over the past year. Of the vast majority of folks who did not receive treatment and yet qualified for it, only 95% did not perceive a need for treatment. So the goal of Recovery Month is to reach that 95%. It is to visibly promote and lift up substance use disorder treatment in communities like ours across the country. By showing that recovery is possible and what healing from addiction to drugs and alcohol can look like, we also celebrate the work of treatment professionals who are the heroes in this movement. Heroes who dedicate their time, their passion, and their careers helping people with addictions. We are proud to share with you that Napa County Health and Human Services Agency hosts a variety of events this month to honor and celebrate Recovery Month. We've already had several recovery walks take place. And next week, September 25th, coming up, we will be hosting a large recovery resource fair with over 32 vendors coming at our South County Health and Human Services campus from 11 to 1. If you're available, we'd love for you to come and join us. The event is going to have resources available, activities, a raffle, food. It's meant to be a lot of fun, but it focuses on the premise that wellness and recovery is holistic and based in community. So we are grateful to American Canyon and the County of Napa for proclaiming September as National Recovery Month. Thank you for joining us as we promote together the values of Health and Human Services Agency, collaboration, compassion for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Really appreciate your work.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. Sure. Good. Okay. There we go. Next, we have a presentation, Napa County Mosquito Abatement District.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, thank you very much for having me. My name's Wes Maffei. I'm director of the Napa County Mosquito Abatement District, have been for the last 27 years. The Mosquito Abatement District was formed in 1925. Its sole purpose at the time was to manage mosquitoes in and around the marsh areas of Napa County. It became a county-wide program almost immediately, and we have been serving the public ever since. We have a total of 9 staff that cover the entire county, including myself, with a budget of about $3.3 million. Mosquito control itself, if we talk a little bit about general biology, keep in mind mosquitoes have 4 stages. You have the egg, the immature stage called the larva, the pupa, which is sort of an intermediate stage, and then the adult. It is only the adult females that bite people and transmit disease. They must have a blood meal in order to produce their eggs. There are exceptions, but as a rule, it's a blood meal that allows for the production of eggs. When a mosquito bites a person, usually you get this small wheal or a welt that'll form, and that's a result of the saliva that they inject into you to break down your blood cells so that they can then slurp up the nutrients that they need. Mosquitoes breed everywhere. There is almost no place that you cannot find them, and unlike some parts of the country, especially here in California, especially here in Napa County, we are blessed with a year-round abundance of our friends who do not pay taxes, but they sure as heck move in when they can. Ways that you can quickly manage mosquitoes. Oh, you know, I didn't move forward there, did I? Well, I seem to be having a little problem here. Okay, you know what? I can wing it. I'm an easy guy.
But maybe a little technical assistance there.
Okay? Yeah, I did that. So it's doing a weird thing. Anyway, so the deal is mosquitoes breed everywhere. Anything from saucers for plants to storm drains to sumps in the yard to ponds in the backyards. And hey, hello, neglected swimming pools and spas are a favorite spot. We also have mosquitoes that are found in ditches, canals, the marshes all here along the wetlands that we have that we so treasure and are actually beautiful and extraordinary, but they do produce mosquitoes, including disease-carrying mosquitoes. You can find these bugs everywhere. That said, there are a few ways that you can control them. The safest way to control them is physical control. Physical control has limitations when you're talking about marshes, ditches, and canals. But when we're talking about the home, the backyard, dump the containers, get rid of the water that you're storing. If you're going to store water, make sure it's tightly screened. If it's tightly screened, they cannot breed in there, and you will be bug-free. That doesn't mean that mosquitoes won't travel from a neighboring area. A typical mosquito flies a half a mile to a mile from its breeding site and then goes back. The marsh mosquitoes, unfortunately, are a little different. They will travel up to 20 miles from their breeding location. So the mosquitoes that breed in these marshes out here literally go to Yountville, bite the dickens out of them, and then come back. That doesn't mean that they're not going to bite you along the way. That said, physical control is the least toxic. It takes more effort, but it is the best method. It's also the best method of prevention. Biological control, that's mosquito fish, that's bacteria, it's viruses, and now we've got sterile male mosquitoes and or genetically modified mosquitoes, all methods by which we can try to control populations to a tolerable level. You have chemical control. These are going to be larvicidal sprays or oils. Obviously, it's best to do the immature forms because they don't travel as far. Adults tend to disperse, and so it's a much greater area. You can adulticide. We prefer not to do that, and we do as little of that as possible. Last is public education. Get the word out. People manage the water in and around their homes. There will be very few mosquitoes, very few bites, happy children, happy wives, happy lives. When we talk about around the home, this illustration talks about just some of the more obvious spots. When you overwater the lawn, that goes into a storm drain. Some of the storm drains here in the city do not drain properly. They breed mosquitoes. We treat them all the time. They breed mosquitoes that carry West Nile. It is a big deal. Have we ever found West Nile in a city? Absolutely. On three occasions, twice at the sewer plant, once in the neighboring property behind our office. So the bugs are here, the viruses are here, you've got to pay attention. You have any type of container in the yard that holds water, tarps that are depressed, boats that are abandoned, kids' wading pools, Uncle Bob's cement sink that he just can't throw away. I mean, this treasure from 1922, but it will hold water and it breeds bugs. So there are places to look for these things, and this sort of just illustrates some of the points. The next thing I would like to bring up, though, is in the last 7 or 8 years, a non-native species of mosquito called the Asian tiger mosquito and another one called the yellow fever mosquito have become established in California. The yellow fever mosquito comes from Africa. It has been established in the southeast US since way back in the 17th century when we had the slave trade and we had the pilgrims and people crossing the Atlantic in the little wooden boats. The Asian tiger is a more recent immigrant, came into the United States in the late 1980s in the southeast. It was assumed for decades that these mosquitoes would not survive in California because California is so dry. Not only wrong, absolutely wrong. This mosquito is now present in most counties in the Central Valley, throughout Southern California, in large portions of Arizona. And I'm like, surprise, surprise, this is as hot and as dry as it gets. These bugs, especially the yellow fever mosquito, breeds in water that collects in leaf axils of bromeliads and small plants.
Wow.
It breeds in those little water bottle caps that you see, the little 12-ounce bottle. That little cap laying in the yard will produce these mosquitoes. And the biggest problem we're having is that they are cryptic. They are very good at hiding. They are very good at finding micro amounts of water to breed in. And the effort to control them is astounding. So for example, Greater LA, when this mosquito first showed up, typical service call load in their community was 2,500, 2,800 calls. First year with this mosquito, it was over 6,000. And it has never let up. It has gotten worse. It is very intensive. It is very costly. I bring this to people's attention because the way to control this mosquito is not us getting search warrants and going yard to yard, which is about the only way it's going to work. And folks get really hostile when you do that. So the best way to control this is landowners and homeowners and renters have to manage the water in and around their property. That means get rid of the potato chip bags and the little bottles and the bottle caps and these sumps, these little drains that they put in the lawns. I can't remember the name of the development, but it's over off of Goldfinch. There's a bunch of homes that have these. When the homes were built, those suckers produce these bugs like crazy. So please stop putting those in. Find another way to drain the water off of the properties. But it breeds in containers, saucers of plants. I mean, I can go on and on about this. This bug is very hard to control, and you must manage the water in and around the home. There is no better way to do it. There are ways to control it. Most of them require spraying, and of course, that's not always the ideal way to do it, and it gets folks excited, and I would prefer not to do that. So I am encouraging, please, please, manage the water around the home. That's the take-home message. There's a little packet that y'all there at the council were given. The first one here is mosquitoes in Napa County, and it has some information, and on the back some information about common sites to look for, our favorite friends. There's also a yellow handout, Are You Raising Mosquitoes in Your Backyard? Another one of those with a list of things and places to look for these lovely animals. There's also one called Yellow Jackets. We do have a Yellow Jacket program. The way that works is y'all find a nest. They're coming in and out of a hole in the ground. We will come out and we put on a moon suit. We come up to the nest. We will inject it with a pyrethrin dust. In about 36 to 48 hours, the nest is gone. Pyrethrin dust is safe. It's safe for the pets that might be curious. It's safe for the raccoons that like to dig them up and eat the grubs. That said, we do not do anything about wasps or insects or yellow jackets. that are in or on a structure because we're not licensed for that type of work. So it must be in the ground coming in and out of a hole. Your parks folks do occasionally call us when they find a nest that's in one of the parks. We've also gotten calls from the school. Last one is a little handout, West Nile virus information for seniors. And I would encourage folks, you can see this information at the California Department of Health Services CDHS website. And there's a lot of other information there. Otherwise, for our humble little district, we appreciate the time to make the presentation. You can find more information about us on our website, www.napamosquito.org. And with that, I'll open it up for questions.
Right. Thank you very much. Questions from council? No, sir. Do we having an experience with invasion of some of these species you mentioned into American Canyon?
In American Canyon, no, but they have found them in Dixon. They're in Winters. They're in Concord. So it is all around us. And it's just a matter of time.
So it's not just the weather that's cooler here.
No, no. When it gets cold in the winter, you will see activity drop down to nothing, but the eggs can overwinter.
Oh.
And so what that means, and they lay their eggs. Okay, how can I say this? The females of this particular mosquito do something called skip oviposition. So rather than a typical mosquito that lays a bunch of its eggs in one spot, the yellow fever mosquito lays one egg here, one egg there, one egg there. You do control in the yard, they just move to the next yard to start laying eggs, and they just keep moving on. So they just leave a few in different locations and rapidly spread. The eggs stay attached to containers. They can stay there and they're viable for months. We humans transport our containers to another location and voila, they have a new home.
What's the future look like in terms of controlling this? Yes.
Well, there's been a lot of experimentation with not only genetically modified mosquitoes, but sterile male mosquitoes. And it appears to show some promise. The challenge is with sterile male mosquitoes, you're driving down the street releasing millions of sterile males. Now imagine the image of millions of bugs being released in the neighborhood and what people are going to think. It doesn't always go over too well. As for the genetically modified, there's a lot of fear that we are creating a superbug. Not quite the case, but still there's a lot of concern. So there are challenges. Again, the best way is not having sites where water collects. Unfortunately, people have bromeliads, they have orchids, they have other types of succulents where the leaves can hold a little bit of water, and these mosquitoes will breed in that. They have the saucers for their plants, the pet bowls, the sumps, the drains. Our biggest challenge, folks that like to store the rainwater, lo and behold, never screened, never tightly sealed, and these things get in there like big time.
Well, thank you for your presentation. Wow, this is very informative.
Thank you kindly.
Council ready for public comment?
Yes, sir.
Public comment is now open on any item not on the agenda. You have 3 minutes.
Mayor
to the podium.
Garcia, we have no written comments. I do have a couple of speaker cards.
Okay.
Steve Riley.
Good evening,
Good evening.
Mr. Mayor and
You can probably
Honorable.
adjust that microphone a little bit.
good evening, Mr. Mayor and honorable
you, sir.
council members. Thank you for having us. I'm Steve Riley with 330 Land Company. We're the development company that's partnered with the Newell family on the Promontory subdivision. We were here about a year ago when we got our tentative map approved. So I wanted to thank everybody for that, and I wanted to thank staff for their hard work over the last year. And I'm here today with a little bit of an unusual request in that as we've approached the 1-year anniversary of getting our original map approved, we've had some slowdown with city staff and kind of getting over the final hump of getting a subdivision improvement agreement, a reimbursement agreement, completed and being able to actually get into the ground this year to start construction. So I was here to express a little bit of frustration with just kind of a lack of communication of recent months, and I understand that staff's overworked and probably underpaid, but we would be very appreciative of any help that the council could encourage staff to be a little bit more responsive.
Thank you. Mr. Hawley, could you look into this, please?
Of course, Mayor.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Bernice Newell.
Mayor Garcia and councilperson, I'm here to support Steve, and I hope you can give us a hand in moving the project along. I'm sure you want the property taxes, the city could use them, and we'd like to move along. We've been doing quite well for quite some time, so we hope it continues.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else for public comment?
I have no other speaker cards.
Good evening, Beth Marcus. First of all, I want to thank you so much for accommodating Fran tonight with the special room downstairs. That's where I was at with her. And it was very sweet of you since the elevator is not working. I appreciate you doing that. The second thing is I want to give thanks to the chief for his chat with the chief today. It was very interesting to listen to people calling in for him. So thank you, Chief, and thank you again. I'm going to go back downstairs with Fran.
All right. Thank you.
Beth, you guys can make comments from downstairs. Just if you raise your hand, I'll be able to see you.
Have you received any requests from downstairs?
I have no hands raised downstairs. And
We've got like a Zoom meeting going on?
I do. I can actually see the room down there. So
Okay.
no one's hand is raised, and there are no hands raised online.
All right, very good. Well, thank you. We'll close public comment at this time and move on to agenda changes. If there are no requests for agenda change, we'll accept the motion for the consent calendar.
I'll make that motion to accept the cassette calendar.
Second.
Motion second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Joseph?
Yes.
Councilmember Washington?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Oro?
Yes.
Mayor Garcia?
Yes. Thank you, council. Moving on in our agenda, public hearings. There are none this evening. We'll move on to business item. Item number 12, wastewater capacity fee deferral for SDG Commerce 217 Warehouse Distribution Center project.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be handling this item as soon as I can find it in my packet here. Yeah, this item relates to a particular set of fees that staff is recommending that we defer. This is for a tenant in one of the buildings the Stravinsky Development Group is constructing over on Commerce. This is their 217 building. They're moving in a new tenant who's going to be making a really substantial investment on technology and equipment and storage tanks and all sorts of things inside this warehouse building. And the lead time that it's going to take to order all of those materials and get them installed and whatnot is between 18 months or 24 months. So it's just a really long build out for this. And so they've requested that we extend the period in which the sewer fees are collected till after that time period. And staff thinks it's a reasonable request. We came a couple of meetings ago with modifications to our ordinances to even allow this sort of thing. And the city collects these revenues, these types of impact fees, and then uses them on capital projects. But when we're in the collecting fee phase and holding on to the monies, we gain interest on those monies. And so the requester, the tenant has agreed to pay basically the same interest rate that we currently get on our funds that are held elsewhere. So, from our perspective, whether it's in this bank or the other bank, as long as the interest rate's the same, the business case is pretty much the same. And if this helps the tenant get through the build-out phase, then I think for us, there isn't much difference in it. They are requesting to be able to have a further option period on this of a couple of years afterwards if they so choose, and the interest rate would still apply. So I mean, interestingly, in this interest rate environment, we're getting some pretty good interest rates. They may go down, so they would still be paying the higher interest rate. So they probably won't choose that option, because I think by the time this comes to fruition, interest rates might be lower and they'd be stuck with our higher rate. But if they did, we'd still be getting the higher rate. So this is an economic development tool that the builders sometimes use, particularly in cases where they're going to make a massive investment inside the building. And so we think it's a reasonable request.
Okay.
Happy to answer any questions. Sorry.
Question from council? Councilmember Joseph.
Well, I agree. It kind of reminds me of, we get a 5-year investment horizon and we can lock in a good interest rate. So it's almost a deal for us as much as for the developer. But I'm generally sympathetic to letting the developer have some time and looking down the road, as we explore this opportunity of expanding our wastewater capacity to get into the more heavier industrial dischargers, potentially having a customer such as what's being considered here could very well be helping to make the case for an expanded plant. So for me, the city is benefiting at a number of levels. So I think it's a good idea.
Okay, very good. Councilmember Washington?
Yeah, I agree also. That's a good idea. But I'm just curious, is it the first extension that they've asked for?
Correct. So the developer built the building, the shell, and they paid all the normal fees that would have been due, with the assumption it was going to be a warehouse of just storing goods and services, so a much smaller impact. They've then been able to find a tenant that's a higher intensity tenant. A winery is proposed in there, which is all consistent with their entitlement, but the fees, the impact fees and the impacts of that kind of development is higher. And so these impact fees, they've already paid the relatively small pieces for the building, but this, particularly on the wastewater discharge side, would be quite a bit higher. And to Councilmember Joseph's point, they will become our 4th significant industrial user. We have 3 currently. They will become our 4th. And they're very excited about our high-strength waste project and anxious for that to come online. So their timing is sooner than our high-strength waste project, but they're excited to have that opportunity in the future.
Okay, fine. Yeah, that's the only question I have. Thank you.
Okay, any other comment? Council ready for public comment?
Yes, sir.
Public comment on this matter is open.
We've received no written comments. I have no hands raised. Let's see.
Okay, anybody in the audience wishing to comment? Seeing none, we'll close public comment on this matter.
There's no further comment. I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number 2024 next in order. A resolution of the City Council of the City of American Canyon, California, approving a wastewater capacity fee deferral agreement for the SDG Commerce 217 Warehouse Distribution Center Project, PL 21-0006.
I'll second.
Motion second, roll call, please.
Councilmember Joseph?
Yes.
Councilmember Washington?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Oro?
Yes.
Mayor Garcia?
Yes, thank you, council. Moving on then to business item number 13, Newell Open Space Improvement Project, PR 13-0200.
Thank you, Mayor. On behalf of your current Public Works Director, your former Public Works Director is going to present this item. Hopefully she's enjoying her vacation. I'd agreed to pinch hit for her tonight. Staff is recommending the award of a construction contract to build a formal parking lot and trailhead at the Newell Open Space, including about the first 100 feet or so of improved trail up into the Newell Open Space. This project has been in the works for a long time, and there's still other portions of the trail project that we hope to get done. In fact, some of the family members just left the room, but we are still working on those efforts. But for the moment, we want to move forward with this parking lot construction project, in part because we've received a grant from the state that will help defer some of the costs to that. So we went out to bid. This project is subject to our citywide project labor agreement, and Globe Engineering Development was the lowest responsive and responsible bidder. And so we've looked at their bid prices and think they're reasonable and customary. You know, admittedly, the prices we received were higher than the engineer's estimate. We think one of the challenges with this size of a project is it's too small for a large contractor, and it's too big for a really small contractor. It's kind of in that no man's land of projects. So only one of our typical larger contractors really proposed on it, and they weren't the low. So you know, this, I said, I don't think that, you know, the cost being above the engineer's estimate had much of anything to do with the project or labor agreement piece. I think it had more to do with, you know, being a kind of awkward scale as far as a project. But we're excited to work with Globe Engineering. We've done some reference checks on them. They've done other projects, you know, in the North Bay and in Sacramento Valley, and we're excited to work with them on this project and get it underway. So staff recommends approval. We are looking at budget adjustments for the capital budget, including drawing some additional fees from the Park Impact Fee Fund. And that would reduce the fund balance of Fund 310 from about 1.7 million to about 1.4 million. Apologize for your agenda packet. We included both the resolution and then our working document of the resolution. So there's only one attachment that's supposed to be in there, but we accidentally published two, but that's okay. Don't be confused. It's only one resolution tonight. And the Globe has indicated they're ready to move forward, you know, this fall here before the rainy season and get started. And happy to answer any questions.
Vice Mayor Oro, question, comment?
Yeah, thank you. This is good. This is a step towards improving the Newell Trailhead at the very least, and that dirt parking lot there. The packet didn't include any plans. It would have been nice to have a little overview of the plans there. I want to ask a little bit questions about the trail work, because the idea when we approved Canyon Estates was that there would be some funding for that to go towards the trail and to make it accessible at least up to the gate, almost to the barn. What's holding us up, and how do we get the rest of this project done?
Yeah, sure. So it's a great question, and certainly the public will be interested in it. We don't have all the property we need to create an accessible trail all the way to the gate. It requires the acquisition of some additional property. We've done an appraisal of the amount of that property. We've made an offer to the property owners. Some of them, like I mentioned, were here in the audience tonight. And they've rejected our offer, and so now we're in the process of trying to acquire that through condemnation. That property does not reside within the municipal boundaries of American Canyon. It's in the unincorporated county. And so we have to go through a more convoluted process with Napa County to actually do effectively a joint venture with Napa County to begin this condemnation process. So the obstacle to finishing the trail is the acquisition of property, and that's going to be a little bit longer process. We've made the offers. We're talking about $30,000 to $40,000 worth of property. This isn't a huge transaction or a huge amount of property, but we have some unwilling sellers, and so we have to go through a much different process.
And the sellers is the Newell family?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. And then right now we have a temporary bathroom out there, or a other one, and I think the plans don't call for a permanent bathroom here. Is that correct?
You're correct. There's currently a porta potty out there that will be relocated within the parking lot. There'll be a new fencing structure put around it, but currently the plans still just call for that porta potty, temporary bathroom.
And so in the future, we may want one there. I mean, if you go into Newell and you make it up to the top and back, it's depending on ability, it's an hour to 2 hour, 3 hour trek, and and if you're traveling to come to town, it'd be nice to have something to relieve yourself there with before you head on out up the trail. So if we don't have a bathroom, could we have them modify this plan, which I haven't seen, to include utility stubs? So maybe we can find money later for that. And I'm hoping the council is agreeable to that, because permanent bathroom at an important part of our open space would be a nice thing to have.
Yeah, it's a great suggestion, Vice Mayor Oro, and something we can look at doing, at least the stubs, because we'd want to get that done now rather than having to tear up a parking lot later. So we can go back and look at that with probably some sort of a small change order. We're asking for approval up to the contingency amount. Hopefully it wouldn't be more than that. But we can definitely take a look at that. Now would be the time to do it.
And then just one last question. So are we looking at like 10 cars or 15 cars? Do you recall off the top of your head what that might be? I saw earlier plans way back when
Yes, we did go to OSATs with these plans. They've taken a look at it, and I'm rudely looking at my email only because I think there's a plan that was exchanged yesterday, and I was going to try and count the spaces. It was on the order of, I want to say 15, but I can look real quickly here and see if I can find that.
I'm going through my little agenda here. Maybe it was like in August. No. It's okay. I mean, 10 to 15 is probably about right. So
There is along the driveway. So there's the orthogonal parking spaces facing Newell, and then there's an extended long driveway that would be either for a longer vehicle, most likely apparatus or something like that. So it's a long linear parking spot.
okay. Thank you very much. That's all my questions. Utility stubs. Thank you.
Well, this is very interesting. Staff is watching from home. Part of the bid item, part of the bid items include already water and sewer service stubs. So that's in there.
Councilmember Joseph.
Well, I was going to second the stubs, but it looks like staff already was on top of it, and that sounds even better. Looking forward to this project, it's a shame that the property owners weren't willing to cooperate with us as much as we would like them to, and
I just wish they would have stuck around.
yeah, because it might have been nice, just as they asked us to kind of expedite things, I'd like to ask them to, cooperate and work with us, because it's in everyone's best interest to get the trail done. So, but where we're at, what staff is recommending makes sense. It's the best way to move forward and spend that grant fund money before we lose it.
Any public comment?
I've received no written comment.
Okay, well, I was going to say we could open public comment, but there is no public to comment, so,
There is no hands raised downstairs
okay.
or online.
All right, then we'll close public comment. Return to staff, city council.
Well, if there's no other comment, I'm willing to make a motion that we approve only the one resolution, number 2024, next in order. Adopt a resolution, one, amending the FY 24-25 capital budget and increasing the project budget from $354,235 to $610,133. Two, awarding a construction contract to Globe Engineering Development in the amount of $401,534. And three, authorizing the Public Works Director to approve and execute contract change orders in an aggregate amount not to exceed the project budget in conjunction with the Newell Open Space Improvements Project PR 13-0200.
I'll second.
Motion and second, roll call, please.
Councilmember Joseph,
Yes.
Councilmember Washington,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Oro,
Yes.
Mayor Garcia.
Yes, thank you, council. Moving on now to management and staff oral reports.
I'm looking over at staff. I know Director Akita often has updates. I don't know if she's busy looking for those updates. Okay. I don't know.
It's there
if Brent-
somewhere.
If Brent has any updates or anybody else, it might just be Director Akita.
I'm sorry, I apologize. I wrote them all down and I don't know what I did with them in all my paperwork. So we're gonna do it off the iPad tonight. So starting tomorrow, we have Chill with the Cops at 7-Eleven here in American Canyon with our very own ACPD, Chief Greenberg. And that is going to be from 1 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. And then on September 19th and 20th, the DoubleTree is doing their Summer of Entertainment, and that is going to be from 6 to 8:30. On Saturday, September 21st, we have our Coastal Cleanup Day. That is a volunteer event where we spread volunteers throughout the entire city and clean up our waterways, and that is going to be from 9 to 12 p.m. We do still have some spaces available, so if you'd like to volunteer, please join us.
Where's the assembly place for it?
So it's going to be there's 6 different locations. So you can register online and you can choose the location that you would like to be at.
Very good, thank you.
You're welcome. And then next week on Wednesday, September 25th, the American Canyon Library is going to be offering From Raids to Railroads, the American Canyon's Colorful Past. And that is a presentation that is going to be from 6 to 7 p.m. And then on Thursday, September 26th, the Chamber of Commerce is hosting their Chamber Coffee Chat, and that's actually going to be at the Chamber of Commerce, and that is from 9 to 10:30. And then also for that same day, as well as the following day, the DoubleTree will be doing again Summer of Entertainment. And then Saturday, September 28th, Seroptimus International is hosting a membership mixer at World Marine Clubhouse. It's their Sip and Savor, and that is going to be from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you. A lot of things to do out there. Okay, anything further from management staff oral reports?
No, Mayor, thank you.
All right, moving on to mayor council comments and committee reports. Councilmember Joseph?
Yes. First of all, I want to report that I won't be at the next council meeting. My wife and I are taking off September 25th for a couple of weeks for a wedding and a vacation, so I will miss the next council meeting. But I did want to report that the Sea Level Rise BCDC Adapt Task Force meeting that I've been on for the last couple of years has finally come out with their draft plan for sea level rise. So I encourage people to go through it and figure out how it relates to American Canyon and what we can do. And then I also wanted to announce that October 5th, a Saturday, the Art Foundation is going to have their annual pumpkin path out at the wetlands from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And along with the Art Foundation and pumpkins that you can paint, 4-H will be out there selling their pumpkins, and the Parks Foundation is going to be out there with their educational trainer or trailer and coffee. And we've made some requests to Spirit Horse to have a horse or two out for fun. So it'll be a great family day. And I encourage everybody to show up and have a good time and paint a pumpkin.
Well, that sounds like loads of fun. Thank you. You'll have an opportunity for some of the fall colors, I'm assuming, too.
I am looking forward to it. We're going to New England.
Very nice. I had the opportunity to do that some years ago. Councilmember Washington.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No, nothing to add. Thank you.
Okay. Vice Mayor Oral?
Nothing to report, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I just, few things here to catch up. Just really appreciate the 9/11 remembrance ceremony there at the Public Safety Building. It's always good to know, reflect on the losses we've had and the impact it's had on us as a nation. I did have an opportunity some years ago in New York to go see the memorial and all the names etched cut into the framework around the well, it's basically the footprint of one of the towers. It's now a pond. And you see all these, there's sections there where different public sector staff, like firefighters, like police, like Port Authority, and you see every now and flower stuck in with a name or a flag. And there's also names of all the people who occupied the building who were killed tragically. We had a soccer kickoff last weekend, so soccer's back, trying to get that rolling again, so that's good. They were over there at the park there, and We had, a big success story. The Sausal 29, Highway 29 ribbon cutting, the official opening of that took place here during last week. So that was been quite a project coming through. What was it, 57 million, something like that? Yeah. And now the next one looks like it's going to have to be 12 in Highway 12 and 29 because of the congestion. But it's good to see work accomplished. And a big one was Hands Across the Valley. My goodness, that was a great event. That's the American Candy Community and Parks. No, sorry, that's not that. That's the food bank suppliers. We had the Ruins was the weekend before. Yeah, they do that up at Charles Crook Winery, and they have a tremendous amount of support throughout the county for it. And being a board member for Hands Across the Valley, we supply the food bank. So it's a very good source of funding for the programs. We serve all the communities throughout the county. So it was been active. We a couple of weeks there in the community on more social events, and that would conclude my report. Future agenda items. We have a printout here. Any
I'll
comments?
note, Mayor, just on the back side of the page, we've started this log of what we characterize as the unscheduled council requested items. The ones that do have a schedule are noted with that by an asterisk. And so part of bringing this back follows up on our conversation about council protocols. The items that are shown here are, maybe consider a draft future agenda items. These are what we've planned out on, what we're orienting towards. If the council, would like a different order or a different prioritization, you have the opportunity with me privately as we meet to discuss those things, or if as a council y'all wanted to do that in this forum, certainly this would be the time for that as well. And so I wanted to make sure everyone was clear about that, and happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to add on the all-electric reach code discussion, that's really something that was generated by the Climate Action Committee, but we've also forwarded a foodware ordinance. So if we could lump the electric reach code and the foodware ordinance together, because they're two draft ordinances that have been developed by the Climate Action Committee and sent out to the jurisdictions for feedback and comment. So they're really two related, even though they're only slightly related functionally. They are coming from the same source, and we do need to at least provide some input and reactions.
Well, I would agree with the importance of that. Maybe they're dealt with separately might be less confusing way.
Yeah, at least, well, at a minimum, if we could include the foodware ordinance as another unscheduled item.
Yeah, happy to follow our process for future agenda items. We can put, with the council vote, we can put that on there. I do see them as separate items in particular, because I'm not aware of any litigation challenging foodware ordinances, and I think there is quite a bit of litigation around the electric reach codes that I think we're still sorting out.
In that regard, I think the latest version, at least the legal explanation from the Climate Action Committee staff, was that what's being proposed doesn't actually eliminate the use of natural gas, just creates a situation where that might be the easiest way to be in compliance. So they may have gotten around some of the litigation.
Okay.
So it might be worth it to revisit it. Again, I'm not suggesting it needs to be done immediately, but just to include both items as on the to-do list.
Do I hear a motion to put it there?
Yeah, do I hear I'm
I'll
going to
make
assume
a
that was a
motion.
motion. So
That's a
Do we
motion,
have a second?
yeah.
I'll second it.
Motion second, roll call, please.
Councilmember Joseph?
Yes.
Councilmember Washington?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Oro?
Yes.
And Mayor Garcia?
Yes. Well, thank you, council. We have concluded our business for the evening. We are adjourned.